quickly, let's look at this subject today. The only number to call on this show is 090 374 3199.
Included.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Good evening. You're welcome to today's class. Just you all have a wonderful weekend. And the facilitator is already here, but I would like to take home from the last class before you begin. So who would like to go first? Take home from the last class. So we can begin.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, ma.
Good evening, Mr. Muiwa.
Thank you.
Yeah. How was your weekend too?
It was great. Bless God. It was great. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Welcome all to today's section. The facilitator is supposed to be right now, but it seems to be a bit late to join us. So while we are waiting, like, oh my God.
Give me what?
So while we await the facilitator, I would love each and every one of us to talk on our take home. And I believe everyone learned something from the last class on customer service and stakeholder. Please, am I communicating? Hello, are you all with me?
We are with you.
Okay, thank you very much. So let's take the take home one after the other, please. At least one point will be fine before the facilitator will join us. Who would like to go first?
I would like to go first.
Okay, thank you very much. You can begin.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
I think what some of my take home for the last class was on what customer is. I learned what a customer is. I equally learned what a stakeholder is. I equally learned the quadrant of stakeholders, as in the stakeholders analysis. When we look at the high power, high interest, high power, low interest, low power, high interest stakeholders, and low power, low interest. I think those are the areas, these are my take home for the last class.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Innocent. Okay, who would like to go next? All right, let me call him. Mr. Kiwale Joseph. Good evening, Mr. Kiwale Joseph. Are you here? Mr. Good evening, Mr. Kolapon.
Good evening. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So can we start the class?
Yes, you can, please.
Let's go to the slide, please. Hi everyone. Good evening. Let me try and enter the class.
Engineer Kolapo.
So can you hear me now?
Yes, we
everyone.
can hear.
Oh,
Yes,
sorry,
you
I
can
was
go.
trying to move away. Yeah, I was trying to get into the car. All right, good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining the class. This evening, we'll be looking at fire fighting equipment, maintain them, and how to prevent fire from happening. All the things we do in this class is to ensure that we understand what can really cause fire, and we understand how to prevent it. So, just to set the ball rolling, what is fire? All right. So one thing that's very clear to us that fire can be a good friend and can be one of our worst enemies. What do I mean? Fire can be good to us, and fire can be bad. All right. And when I say good, it means that fire can be beneficiary, can be of course, it can be a friend to us. We need fire in our day-to-day activities. So we need fire for cooking, we need fire for keeping a space warm or under control, right? Not too cold or not too and not too hot, right? But in the case where the fire is left uncontrolled, then it moves back to the space, being destructive. Some of us saw what happened at Afriland to us, right? I think the case study can even leverage this class, right? And it's obvious that we can, as facility managers, we have more responsibilities and the onus on us to ensure that we keep our assets, safe. All right, my name is Engineer Kolapo Polade. I'll be taking you through this class. Please, let's feel free to exchange ideas. Let's ask the right questions. All right, and I'll be looking forward to answering them at this point. Okay, what is fire? So fire is an exothermic reaction. It's an exothermic chemical reaction. It's a chemical reaction that is external because it gives heat and light. It gives off heat and light. But yet it comes with some other toxic substances, including the smoke that comes from the incomplete combustion of the fuel of those things are burning. There is incomplete combustion in most cases due to the different composition.
Sorry, sir, we hardly hear you.
Fire is something that we need to take good care of. And one of the ways to take care of fire is by ensuring that we have a means to prevent the fire from happening, to protect our assets, even if the fire has happened, to suppress the fire when the fire has happened, all right, and to ensure that we can fight the fire. Somebody is saying that they cannot hear me. Is that?
We can't hear you, sir. We can't hear you, please.
Yes, sir, your network is breaking there.
Is it a localized situation? Is it that one person cannot hear me or everybody cannot hear me? Please unmute your mic. So that we see it's cracking. I want to also be sure that I can hear you. Okay? Please unmute your mic. Can you hear me?
It's general.
It's general, sir. We hardly hear
Sir,
you.
it's a general. It's general. It's a general issue, sir.
So I can log off and be logged in.
It's global.
He's
Nobody's talking, so let me log off.
Hi, everyone, can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Better.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Apologies for that.
Yes,
Right.
It's
it's
better
clear
now.
now, sir.
Okay. So I was saying that, but did you hear all my explanation around the fire thing, the introduction, and what have you?
No, sir.
Okay. I said that fire is a friend, and not just a friend, it can also be an enemy. I said that fire can be disruptive, meaning that when fire burns, it can lead to a whole lot of situation. I said that that same fire is actually needed because to keep ourselves warm and to heat up the space, in order to have the right space conditioning, room conditioning, we need fire. All right. So we need to ensure that we find a way to strike a balance to maintain our space in such a way that there is no fire outbreak. And I said that we can even look at the Afriland situation and use that as a case study in this class. I said that beyond fire equipment maintenance, we'll be discussing how to prevent fire, how to protect the building from fire outbreak, how to make sure we have the right devices to suppress the fire, how to make sure that we can detect the fire before it happens or before it grows. So the fire could happen, all right? It could be detected by human being, or it could be detected after the incipient stage, meaning that after it has started, but in a small on a small scale, using devices such as the small detectors, right? I'm going to talk about how to now fight the fire, either by use of handheld fire extinguishers or by use of the hydrants. Okay. So basically, what I've just said is that for fire safety management, and please listen and try not to be distracted. All right. For fire safety management, there are 5 things we looked at, or we look at 5 things. 1, fire prevention. 2, fire protection. 3, fire detection. 4, fire suppression. 5, firefighting. I take it again. For us to have a safe facility, fire being an exothermic reaction, being a chemical reaction that will give heat, that will give light, and that will give off, some toxic gaseous substances such as smoke. All right. We need to ensure that the fire does not even happen. And if it happens, we should be able to nip it at the incipient stage, meaning that we should be able to hold it down at the incipient stage. And if we're able to do that, then we can keep the building safe. If we're not able to do that, then it can become a loss or result in a loss of the assets, facility, or property, as the case may be. All right, so it could be plants, property, or equipment. It could be a building, anything can go wrong. So what do we need to know? 5 elements of fire safety. What are they? Fire prevention, fire protection, fire detection, fire suppression, and firefighting. Are we on the same page now? Okay. And that's the benefit of you attending the class versus missing the class and hoping to catch up maybe through the recorded or through the recordings. All right. And the honest truth is that you also have the opportunity of asking me directly what you might need in terms of how to resolve situations within your facility. So again, if there is 1 or 2 people that you know that are absent from this class, this is not the class to be absent from. Kindly give them a nudge and let them be in class. Okay? So what is the firefighting equipment? These are equipment that we use in case of a fire outbreak. These are things that help us to either detect the fire when it has happened, or prevent the fire from spreading, okay, or extinguish the fire after it has started. I said 3 things. Detect the fire as soon as it starts, so that helps us to alert or notify other people within the building, including people responsible for crisis management, for such situations, for emergency response to be attended to. All right. So we need a firefighting equipment to do that. We need a firefighting equipment to suppress the fire after it has happened. And by the word suppression means that it automatically reacts to press down, to cushion, to take out, to block off the fire. And thirdly, I said a firefighting equipment is also needed to put off the fire, such as the fire hydrants, the fire extinguishers, and what have you. Are we on the same page? So these equipment are designed to protect life, properties, goods, assets, equipment, and what have you from fire outbreak. They could be passive, meaning that they need somebody to activate them, e.g., fire extinguisher, fire hydrants. And they could be active, meaning that they are automated to understand the situation and react, e.g., FM200, smoke detectors, and the likes. Next slide. So even your water sprinkler system is an example of an active system, because the sprinklers will release the water as soon as the temperature set point is reached. So this fire consists of 3 elements. That means at the right proportion, percentages, 3 things must come together in what we call the fire triangle. The first one, the fuel. Second one, oxygen. Third one, the ignition temperature or heat. We said that fire starts when there is an exothermic chemical reaction involving burning of fuel, rapid oxidation, of course, in the presence of an ignition source. Fire requires those three sources or elements I've spoken about: oxygen, heat, and fuel. And these three elements are the ones that make up the fire triangle, and they must be present in the right proportion, not just anyhow. Next slide, please. So as facility managers, we need to be like the Boy Scouts. We need to be prepared. Fire does not notify anybody. Fire does not give early verbal warning. Fire gives indicators or indication through the hazard that would have been generated or seen before now. So there are issues and there are issues. The fire itself will not come and tell you that, okay, it's going to come tomorrow. But there will have been situations, conditions, and actions, or in fact, inactions, that will tell us that fire might happen. I was just telling them that they need to do what we call clean up or tidy up. I went for something different, but in the same room where I am, I could see that there are a lot of naked cables, exposed cables in their, computer storage area. And I know that it's just a matter of time. Fire will happen. All right, so it's important for us to understand that fire does not give warning. However, there have been hazards, there have been things around us that we should take care of, we should look after, but which we have refused to do. Fire is a friend, and it can be your enemy. So what are those things that we should be prepared for? One, have we equipped the building? Equip the building with what? Have you equipped the building with fire detection systems, fire suppression systems, and firefighting systems? Let me say it another way. Does your building have fire extinguishers to fight the fire? Does a facility have fire hydrant system, including fire pumps, to activate and take out the fire if it happens? Is your building equipped with smoke detectors that can help us give early signs or warnings in case of fire? Does your building have FM 200 for data center or the water sprinkler system to suppress the fire in case it happens? Does your building have safe emergency exit area or stairs or passage or pathway that can safely lead you out of the building, either to the muster point or to your house? Does your building have protection against arson or arsonists, people that want to deliberately burn or cause havoc for your company for whatever reasons? All right. What exactly do you guys have that will help you prevent, protect, recover from, detect, suppress, and even fight the fire. Training of the workers. Does your workers even know what to do in case of a fire alarm? Do they know what to do in case of a fire situation? Do they know what to do in case fire happens? What do they know what to do? Or what would they do in case they heard the sound of the alarm system? Gentlemen, have you assigned roles and responsibilities to people such that when there is a fire situation, they also understand what they need to do? Do you have an effective program in place to train them on the prevention and resource planning? If firefighters come today to help you, would they have access to the building through a proper layout and equipment siting? So have you provided them, or will you provide them with the building layouts, the entry and exit points, doors? So it's just a floor plan of the building and where the equipments are located. Next slide. Next slide, please. No. Go to the previous slide. Why did you skip? Strategic assets. So the strategic actions towards firefighting. We're saying that you need to determine, if you're in my last class on HSC, so you need to determine all activities that can lead to fire, smoke, or heat generation in your facility. You need to look at, when I say you determine, that means you call out things, activities, tasks, jobs, operations that can lead to fire, smoke, or heat generation, e.g., welding, cooking, use of electrical equipment, iron, or what have you. Then number two, how do you use your equipment? How do you use your facility? How do you use things, the resources that you have, including people, in an effective and cost-efficient manner? You need to conduct hazard and risk assessment of the workplace and turn that into a process or procedure, or in fact, process and procedure, so that people actually know what to do in case of any emergency. You need to put together a risk control measures following your hierarchy of control, hierarchy of risk control. That's the engineering, substitution, elimination, substitution, engineering, administrative, and of course, use of PPE. In this case of fire, use of CPE, the collective protective equipment, like the fire extinguisher. You must put in place safety consideration for firefighters. And of course, general public can come to help you. And finally, you need to ensure that the level of risk prediction, what you have said about the risks in terms of likelihood and severity, is also planned for with adequate staffing in case those risks materializes. So if the risks materialize, what are you going to do? That is the question. Next slide. One, fire follows a standard called NFPA 10, National Fire Protection Association Standard 10. The smoke detector, which is the alarming and signaling system, NFPA 72, need to be followed. The fire sprinkler system, NFPA 13, National Fire Protection Association Standard 13, need to be followed. If you have a fire pump house, mean that you have hydrant pumps, within your facility, you have fire engine and what have you. That follows the NFPA 25, both for the design and maintenance. National Fire Protection Association, US Standard 25. And that is important for all of us. You must make sure that you inspect this equipment minimum of once in a month. So it should be done on a monthly basis at a minimum, depending on the complexity of your facility, and of course the the amount of hazard in that space. Ensure that the safety and availability of equipment through preventive maintenance, and you prevent losses caused by a malfunctioning component. Next slide. How do you conduct fire extinguisher inspection? Accessibility. Pressure indicator. Or so accessibility means that how accessible, how can we reach the fire extinguisher? Pressure indicator, which is the gauge for the dry chemical powder or the weight of the cylinder for CO2. Then fire extinguisher identification. That means, do you identify the fire extinguisher? Can we identify it? The pin and the seal, the label on the extinguisher should be eligible. Then the service date should be clear. The hose or the horn must be in good condition. The base of the cylinder must not be corroded, and the installation height must not be more than 5 feet from the ground level for ease of removal during an emergency. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So we're saying that the extinguishers need to be inspected. And when you're inspecting, for the extinguishers, it starts to be every month, then every 6 months, by annually, you do what call it servicing, where you give the so the the monthly inspection should be done internally, so you can go on Google and say, okay, checklist for fire extinguisher inspection. Then you can see what it comes up with, and you can then utilize that and start a monthly inspection of the fire extinguisher. However, every 6 months, you need to, give those extinguishers to competent companies for servicing. And every 5 years, you need to do what we call the hydrostatic testing to be sure that the extinguisher can still, withstand or withhold the pressure we are putting into it. Remember the last class when we were talking about the source of energy and in fact the 10 energy hazards. Pressure was clearly part of it. Or I mean that things can escape, can blow up, in the equipment, in the fire extinguisher. Then go back a bit. On an annual basis, ensure that the internal components are also checked, as well as the external components. Ensure that the condition of the extinguishers are good. On a quarterly basis, inspect the fire hydrants, hose view. So on that monthly basis, if you have a fire pump, it should be done even on a weekly basis, because there is the battery part for the electrical pump in the firehouse. So if you have a fire pump, I mean you have an hydrant system or a sprinkler system with fire pump, please, as a routine, every Friday, the fire pumps should be inspected, whether it's the jockey electric or diesel pump. All right, please, that should be weekly. On a quarterly basis, ensure that you do deep inspection of the hoses, hydrants, valves, outlets, to ensure that they are not stiff and they are good to go. So some of us, we even do what we call a daily walk tour or walkabout, meaning that we are not going to carry out a deep inspection of fire extinguishers, but we check. What do we check? The condition of the hoses or horn and the gauge of DCP. If the gauge is flat, it shows that it has been used. All right. If the pin is missing, it shows that something went wrong. If the hose is in bad condition or loose or missing, it shows that when there is fire, you cannot even use that extinguisher. So on a daily basis, when you walk past an extinguisher, please don't just look away. As a facility manager, HSC personnel, compliance person, risk officer, or whatever you are working as. All right. Make sure that you're just doing a quick 30 seconds check on the gauge. Is the indicator still on the green? Is the fire hose in good condition? Is the pin missing or intact? What again? Is the handle missing, broken, or loose? Is there an evidence that maybe there is chemical? Is there an evidence of usage? Maybe around the hose, there is white powder. Just do a quick check. It's not a detailed inspection, but as you walk around the fire extinguisher, please always stop, look before you move. Next slide. So we're saying that for every building, there must be adequate exits or escape routes out of the building. Each exit route in the workplace must be permanent. It must also be fire-resistant material, and there must be no opening or limited opening into the exit way, meaning that you can't call something an exit that leads to many other places. Basement, toilet, no, that's not an exit. It should lead you outside the building. Next slide. I said, 1 minute, please. 1 second, please. Okay. Apologies, I was distracted, so I need to address a text message. All right. So I said adequate number of exits must be provided for. Single exit routes, double exit, depending on the complexity of the building. So how many story building are we talking about? Is it a single premises? How many exits is adequate based on number of people that are actually working in that building? I was in a building today, and I was telling them that we might need to, as part of 2025 and 2026 budget, we might need to add another exit route. I think I'll be putting that as a recommendation already, to the management team. Based on the number of people, I went at the peak of the day. Based on the number of people working there, yes, they have 3 exits. One is controlled. Because that's a stun style. All right. So mean that if there is power outage, people cannot go out. So that means effectively they have 2 exits. Out of the 2 exits, there is one close to the basement, which has electrical changeover panels and everything there. That then tells me that if there is fire from that particular place, from that basement, that means people cannot go through the basement exit route. The turnstile will jam, it will open because it needs power to open, to operate. That means they'll be left with 1 exit. And if I'm not mistaken, today in that building, I saw well over 50 people. All right. So you could imagine there is fire and 50 people are trying to use the same staircase. There will be stampede and there could be deaths. That's even if the fire is not coming from that side, from that single exit side. All right. So we need to have an exit that leads us directly outside the building, all right, in a safe corridor. So when I say outside the building, it doesn't mean that you have to be under the rain, on the sun. but it means that it is away from any electrical components and can take you safely to a muster point. All right. I will say that an exit door, the emergency exit door should not be locked. All right. I've seen some of us, what we have as emergency exit door is more like a strong room. It's more like a security iron door, and it's always padlocked. All right. That's not an emergency exit door. You know why? In the case of emergency, nobody remember where the keys are. We all forget where the keys are. All right. So we should install a proper emergency door. An emergency door does not open from outside. Get it straight. If it is called an emergency door, nobody can access the door from outside. It can only be opened from inside. And if you are worried that, oh, somebody can actually steal something and go through the emergency door, then you can put a camera, CCTV camera, along the emergency exit door route. So if there's a theft and the person passes through the emergency door, we could play back the CCTV camera and trace the theft to the thief. All right. However, you should not, because of theft, then go and put big padlock and what have you on a door that's supposed to be an emergency exit door. All right. So instead, you install a proper emergency exit door that does not open from outside, that can only open from inside, and you can install a CCTV camera along that route so that you can know if anybody passes there, and of course you have the right signage to direct people to that side, to that door. No, the signage should be there to say this way to emergency exit door. I also have it that do not use except there is an emergency. So the exit route capacity should be adequate. It should be wide enough so that it doesn't allow people to get stranded or trampled upon, in case of an emergency. And depending on the size or the complexity of the building, meaning that depending on, how many story building it is, how many people are staying there, and what have you, we recommend different, width and of course height for the emergency exit area. We said that the emergency route must be at least 2.3. At least 2.3. It could be more than that, depending again on the complexity. And we say that any projection from the ceiling must not be up to a point lower than 2 meters from the floor. Nothing must be hanging from the ceiling. That will reduce the emergency exits, to less than 2 meters, because some people are actually tall. So we don't want a situation where, during an emergency, then there is another accident or another emergency. And we're saying that in no circumstance should the door or the exit be less than 28 inches. All right. So what we are saying effectively is that I think we should ensure that the space for emergency exit is wide enough for people to be able to pass. Next slide, please. Again, the first one we spoke about, the OSHA code was talking about exit. This other one is talking about prevention plan, saying that for you to escape from a building, in terms of design, in terms of fire protection, you must have an exit route. You must be able to escape from the building. We're also saying that in terms of prevention, I told you that there is prevention. Remember, when I start this class, there is prevention, there is protection, there is detection, there is suppression, and what again? And there is firefighting. So now I've said that for part of the protection is to have to know where and how to escape. Said for the prevention, part of what we're doing today is prevention. Understanding fire, understanding how fire starts is prevention. We're then saying that we should have a plan that must be written and kept in the workplace, available for people to even take a look and review. Fire prevention, you must understand the triangle of fire, what can cause fire, which are what? The fuel, which could be liquid, gas, or solid. The oxygen, which is between 16 to 21%, and the ignition temperature of the fuel, or the ignition temperature of the fuel, or what we call the heat that can make the fuel to burn. That should also be looked into. Next slide, please. We're going to go into details very soon. So I said that there are minimum elements of a fire prevention plan, meaning that there are minimum things that should be in the fire prevention plan. Fire hazards. List of the major fire hazards. So what are the things that can cause fire? Write them out. Two, how do we undo hazardous material properly? Three, how do we control the accumulation of debt? How do you dispose of your dustbin and everything? How do you maintain the fire protection equipment? And not just the protection, the firefighting, the fire suppression, and fire detection. Your fire prevention plan should include names of people responsible for making things happen without fire safety. Then we must plan to constantly review the fire safety plan. We should constantly review the actions we plan to take for fire safety. Next slide, please. Detection system. Go back one slide. You must be able to detect that fire has started through the use of smoke detectors. Through the use of smoke detectors. So all installed equipment must comply with OSHA standard. It must install the equipment to normal operation after testing them. And we must have spare detector components and devices just in case we need to replace something quickly. Just in case we replace something quickly, you also have spares in your store. Next slide. How do we test and maintain this? How do we test and maintain? We say that we must ensure that all detection systems, your smoke detector, must be in operational or operable condition, except you are carrying out maintenance or repairs. So your smoke detector must be working. It must be tested and adjusted from the panel side. Where you have any system apart from someone that is controlled by electrical, ensure that it is equipped with supervised installations. And this maintenance should only be done by a competent person, trained personnel, including the blowing of the smoke detectors and the panel, and of course, the zone by zone testing of the smoke detectors. So the detector must be, cleaned with a blower to ensure that dust does not accumulate on the optic lens of the smoke detectors. All right. And we recommend that, you have a plan between 5 and 10 years to replace your installation, depending on the brand. If it's a Chinese brand, maybe every 5 years, you need to plan to confirm that it's working. But ideally, it should be 10 years. Anything above 10 years, if it's still working, then it's already a cost savings for you. Next slide. You can see examples of component of fire detectors. We're not saying that you should protect the detectors from corrosion, from physical impact or mechanical impact, and that you should ensure that there is continuity in the wiring, which this you can confirm by testing. So basically, don't put the smoke detectors where a vehicle, maybe a manual handling equipment, like a prime stacker, a hand jack or what have you, or even a forklift, Jenny boom, skyjack can actually collide with it. You must ensure that there's no collision, physical impact that can result in physical damage. And also, don't go and put smoke detectors under the rain. It will damage, or even your panel. You get them damaged so quickly. Next slide. When there is an emergency, people need to evacuate the building, right? So what we recommend is that we conduct fire drill regularly so that people can evacuate the building, or they can know how to evacuate the building, follow the right staircase, and what have you. So if a fire drill is being held regularly, as much as once in 6 months, it helps in ensuring that people are familiar with what they need to do, where they need to go, how they need to go, how they need to move, and escape in case of an emergency. Response time should be designed to operate in time to control a fire. In fact, for you to be able to escape from the fire or from the burning facility, it must be designed and installed. So your detectors should be designed and installed in such a way that it provide early warning for safe escape of employees and visitors. Also, if there is a delay of more than 30 seconds, maybe from the smoke detectors and what have you, this should be quickly addressed because the purpose is not for any delay to happen. The purpose is for the smoke detectors to actually react on time and people can also escape in good time. Next slide. When you have fire extinguishers in place, like I said, they are actually reactive. But when you have fire detectors in place, these are active and proactive. So ensure that we know the applicable standard used by either your consultant or your designer so that we can see the alignment. There must be, design of the smoke detectors based on the space that you have. So the area to be protected, like I said, the volume of the space will be protected. So length times breadth times height, matters in fire. The volume of the space matters. So for fire detectors, is more of the length and the width of the space. That helps us to know how to position the smoke detectors and help us to know what the quantity of smoke detectors that we should install. All right. So the recommendation is actually based on the size of a building and based on NFPA standard, also the obstructions in that space will be taken care of. All right. So if I'm in an IT data center room in a comms room and it has a raised floor, the volume of that space is not from the raised floor; it's from the original floor. I'm going to measure the height of the building so that we can design appropriate maybe FM 200 that will be there. But for smoke detectors, it's just the length times breadth. All right. So it helps us to know the location, the area, and the obstructions in place, as well as the hazards that you have in that space, what you are keeping, activities you are doing in that space. Will help us to know how many smoke detectors we should have. By NFPA 72, the spacing should be 9 by 9, 9 meter by 9 meters. So that's 81 square meter in terms of the spacing, saying that for every 81 square meter, there should be one smoke detector at least. All right. So other things around obstruction, then activities in that space, do not tell us whether we should increase it or we should not. Partitioning, headroom, a lot of things come into play that when we see physically, we can then say, okay, this is the reason why the consultant or the designer has increased the number of smoke detectors. And if it's not adequate also, that can be called out. Next slide. There is a suppression system through the automatic sprinkler system. This discharges water based on the temperature, that has been set for the break glass. For also our automatic sprinkler system, that means we have a fire pump somewhere, and that fire pump should be designed in such a way that it gives the adequate pressure, temper to the sprinkler, so that the sprinkler umbrella, the sprinkler head, is also installed, within 3 meters radius. Mean that at every 1 point, so the radius of the umbrella, the radius of spread of the water is 3 meters. So one sprinkler head can cover 3 meters left and right. So what we do is we install the sprinkler and we take 1.5 meters to the left, 1.5 meters to the right before we install the second one. All right. So in sprinkler calculation, so I'm saying this because some of us, because we don't know, the vendor can do an over design just to collect more money from us. I was on a project very recently, and the guy was quoting, so let me say it in Naira. The guy was quoting, I think, about 28 million Naira for that space. All right. And when I reviewed the design, we ended up doing that project for 18.7 million. All right. I didn't do anything. What I did is that I was able to question the spacing and the design. And using the NFPA 13 standard, I was able to nip the vendor to adjust his design to suit the requirements of the standard. But for some of us, we don't know, and the vendors want to make more money, they just pump. I won't say they pad, because they didn't pad the budget. The vendor will not pad the budget, but we inflate the accessories. We inflate what you need. And if you don't have somebody checking, or if you don't know how to check based on standard, your company end up paying more than necessary. All right. I'm telling you what I did just, I think in the month of in October, right? So maybe in the month of July or thereabouts, where I saved the company well over 9 million naira just by knowledge, right? By knowledge, by knowing that this is the right thing to do. All right. I adjusted the design, had a cost session with the vendor, and we agreed, and we moved the budget from 28 million to 18.7 million. All right. So you also need to have that understanding that these fire equipment are from a design. And on this call, I've told you about 4 standards: NFPA 10 for fire extinguishers, NFPA 13 for automatic sprinkler system, water-based, NFPA 72 for alarming system, that's smoke detector system, and NFPA 25 for water-based fire pumps. You can always, exercise your knowledge. You can ask ChatGPT to do a summary for you, so at least you can have an understanding of this NFPA, National Fire Protection Association standards, as the case may be. Next slide. So we're saying that that's what we call acceptance tests for the firefighting equipment, and different ones have different outcomes. So what you're testing for in fire extinguisher is not the same thing you're testing for in the smoke detector. Neither is that same thing you're testing for in the advanced system and what have you. So please ensure that you have a knowledge of the standards. So the hydrostatic tests for pipes, you flush the underground connection, to ensure that there is no blockage or obstruction in the pipe if you are having the hydrant pipe. And you ensure that you test the pipe to its maximum pressure, same thing as the pump. But for the pump, we test the pump to 50% above its nominal pressure, its normal operating pressure, to ensure that the pump can actually fire up if it's a new pump. If it's not a new pump, please don't bust your pump. Just test your pump based on the operating pressure. There must be drainage facility for testing, which we call the inspection and testing drain points. How do I know that there's water on the line on the sprinkler system if I don't see water coming out? So they construct a drain point with water, with the pressure gauge, and of course the control valve, where we can actually open the water, and the water should come out of the drain valve, it means that the water is on the line because the valve is, the drain point is actually along the line. So water should come out of the drain point, then that means there's water on the line. All right. So if it's a dry valve, so there's actually dry and wet valve for hydrant sprinkler. Wet valve means that the hydrant is filled with water on the line. Dry pipe means that there's no water, but if you bring an external water pump or water point, it can be connected and things will be fine. Water will come out on every floor, on each floor. You know, on the within the building. Okay. Next slide. So you can read this on your own. It's just talking about the sprinkler that we've spoken about. All right, I'm saying that the water tank that you have, storage tank, should be able to supply water for up to 30 minutes. That's what this one is saying. All right. The vertical clearance should be about 50 cm. But between two sprinklers, the spacing is 1.5 meter left, right, front, and center. Next slide. Do you want to take a break or should I continue? Do you want to take an economic break, a tea break? You want to stretch?
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. We are close to 7.
Okay.
It's going to close at 7, then we can continue. Otherwise, let's take a break, please. Hello.
Let me continue so that people can relax, you know, after the class. Thank you. So same thing we said during health and safety is applicable to fire safety. Saying that we need to assess the fire risks. What's the problem? Can we check? What are you checking? The likelihood of that problem becoming a situation or a consequence, and the severity if that consequence should happen. So the severity of the harm. This welding work we are doing, if it goes out of control, what's the worst that can happen? Can it burn down the house, or it's just burn the security gate house, or it's not going to even burn anything? How can this hazard turn into a consequence? Then what's the likelihood of the harm or consequence happening? Severity, likelihood, and understanding the how. Next slide, please. So similar to what we did in health and safety, we said there must be a risk assessment process where you establish the operating. What's going on? The operating context. What are the hazards that can lead to a threat that can cause fire? What's the likelihood and severity? How can this happen? What are the things that can happen? The risks. Evaluate them and put them into their buckets and prioritize them. Then, what are the alternatives that we have? What can we do to tackle the risks? then implement the best option using the available resources. Next slide, please. So same thing as with health and safety, saying eliminate substitutes, use engineering control method by guarding or isolation, deploy administrative control, enforces of PPE. In this case, for fire, also enforce or ensure the use of CPE, collective protective equipment, such as the fire extinguishers. Next slide. Whatever you find out, please record the findings. When we record the findings, it makes us to be able to trace, track, and take action. We take action, right? So in terms of recording findings, what do? We need to understand who might be harmed and understand what we will do to control the hazards. While making the recordings, ensure that one, a proper check is made. You understand who might be affected or even what can be affected. You take note of the importance of major hazards, take note of all the hazards. Ensure that safety precautions are taken and are taken in a reasonable and adequate manner. And not just adequate, but also sufficient. Ensure you keep working to ensure that the risk is low. The hazard is as low as reasonably practicable. In your recording of findings, ensure that you have the list of people that will be involved in the risk identification process, including the end user, people using those equipments. So you cannot know the hazard in the kitchen as well as or as much as the cook or the persons working in the kitchen. So you must involve them. Also, you prioritize the serious risks first. The one that can burn the house or that can kill someone is high priority. Then you keep taking it down. Then you identify long-term solution for risks with highest consequences. Next slide. We need to do fire drills. Go a step back and ensure that emergency preparedness is tested. It's not when there is fire that we now start looking for the exit stairs, or we start looking for how to get out of the building, or we start identifying the muster points. We must, once in 6 months, at least you all know what happened at Afilantoa. Once in 6 months, test, sound the alarm, let people evacuate, time them, know what went wrong and what went well. Check if people know their way out, and put that on repeat every 6 months. Everybody must be familiar with the sound of the sounder, and everybody must move. And if they don't move, please move them. All right. Next slide, next module. We've spoken about the detection and the alarm, right? So let's keep going. So what I see where I'm supposed to emphasize, I will stop. Next slide. So this you can read by yourself. What's the function of an alarm system? It detects the presence of fire, informs the occupants. It can even tell you the zone or the area where fire is happening. You know, it helps you to stay notified and be able to get out of the space rather quickly. Next slide. I would say that the alarm system can be addressable or it can be conventional. All right. So if it's addressable, it can tell you exactly what has happened, so it can just tell you fire on the 4th floor left wing, fire detected on 4th. So it's telling you where it is. All right. But for the analog, it doesn't tell you where it is, but it is on the panel. You see it that, okay, there is fire on, but it doesn't communicate. It doesn't talk. But the alarm bell will sound, everything will sound, but it doesn't tell you in English or whatever language what is wrong and where you should go to. Next slide. We are very more familiar with the conventional system when it is wired, and some of us have even worked with even the wireless. When I use either Bluetooth or wireless to communicate to each other. What we are saying is that smoke detector will tell you where we alert you, we inform you as soon as it detects the presence of a fire. Next slide. I've spoken about the water sprinkler system also. You could see that color red thing there. All right. So that is more or less the heat detecting elements in the sprinkler. As soon as that gets to the design temperature, depending on your selection, and the selection is also based on the kind of activity that is going to happen in that building. So what can I, this red glass filament we actually burst, and as soon as it bursts, you send a short circuit message to the fire pump, and the fire pump will presume or assume that there is a fire, and it will release, the pump will start, and it will release the fire, and it will release the water onto the fire. And pump starts in this sequence. When there is loss of water on the pipe or within the pipeline, the jockey pump will start to try to maintain the pressure on the line. If it's taking too long or the pressure is getting lost too fast, the electric pump will kickstart. And if that is not sufficient, after 5 to 10 minutes, the diesel pump will start. And that's the final pump. And the diesel pump have to be manually turned off before the pump can stop pumping water from the storage tanks. All right. So please, we need to ensure that all our pumps are in automatic setting, not manual. Manual means that you have to go there to start the pump, but it must be on automatic setting. All right. So sprinkler system is an active fire pressure measure. I've told you that. It's because of water supply system. Yes, connected to water tank. It provides adequate flow rate and pressure to the sprinkler system. This is coming from the pump. All right. It's connected to the piping system, correct? And it is used globally in more than 99% of the buildings, all right, across the world. Next slide. So it works. That's the message. So we're saying that at times we just need to go through even an FM200, a CO2 cylinder, connect to the piping system. Now, this water can actually spoil electrical components. So in a data office or data room, we don't want to use water. Then we use FM200, argonite, nitrogen, CO2, and other inert gases. Okay. Next slide, please. For portable extinguishers, they can come in different types. All right. It's used to control small fire. It comes in different sizes and different types. It's not intended for a full-blown, out of control kind of fire. It's not for a fire that has reached the ceiling. Ensure that there is an escape route as the user. All right. So make sure that you are backing the door. So in case the fire is glowing, you can just trace your step back, right, and leave the building. And fire extinguisher, if you are well trained on it, through a pass method, you pull the pin, you hold the hose or horn, and you aim at the base of the fire. You squeeze the lever and you sweep side by side. You can watch the video of how to use a fire extinguisher on YouTube and you realize that it's something that is very easy. If you join us in the physical class, end of the month, we are going to demonstrate that, to you physically, but you can watch on video, on YouTube video, how to use a portable fire extinguisher. Next slide. And the extinguisher we're going to use depends on the type of fire that we are having. All right. There is a class A, B, C, D, F fire. Class A for solid material. Class B for liquid, like petrol. Class C for gaseous material. Class D for burning combustible metals. Class F for animal fats and oil. Next slide, you see it. All right, so depending on the class A, B, C, D, F, we also have different extinguishers. Right, so there is the CO2 that is good on electrical, started fire or fire that is due to electricity. It's also good as fire for our data center and what have you. It's good indoors. That's the message. So it's good on electrical component and is more effective inside the building. That's what we call the dry chemical powder, or DCP, or what we also refer to it as, multipurpose fire extinguisher, because it can be used on class A, solid, class B, and class C. So we call it ABC fire extinguisher. So this is important for us to know that your dry chemical powder is effective and it's more effective outside the house. Don't use on electrical components because it's going to leave stains. It requires cleaning after it has been used. Foam, which is indicated by the cream color on the west cylinder, is good for class B. Gassy, the chemical foam is good on class B, which is liquid. So in the filling station, you have the dry chemical powder, you might have the foam, and of course, the CO2 will be, the carbon dioxide will be around the electrical area, maybe changeover panel area and what have you. There's the water extinguisher, which is not common because people prefer the sprinkler system, hydrants, or even use of a bucket versus using a water extinguisher. Then there's the wet chemical foam. The wet chemical extinguisher is useful in the kitchen. Again, it's not common in Nigeria. All we have very common in Nigeria are carbon dioxide, dry chemical powder, and foam. All right. The water extinguisher is used. We prefer to use hydrants or sprinkler instead of using a water extinguisher. And of course, in the kitchen, we prefer to use the fire blanket as against the wet chemical. Next slide. So I've explained the types of extinguishers. Next slide, please. Keep going, please. I've explained the extinguishers. Keep going. Next slide. Okay. Well, let's say that government agencies. Can you go a slide back? Let me see what you skipped. Go a slide back again. A slide back. A slide back. A slide back again. A slide back. So why are we at the end of this module 5 instead of starting from the beginning? Can you give me a slide back? Let me see that nothing is missing. No? Okay. Go on. No, go on. Go forward. Move towards module 5, the last module. Okay. Okay, so module 5, handling a fire outbreak. This is important. Then we can close. Remember, I told you when we started the class that there are 5 areas that we look into in fire safety management: the prevention, the protection, the detection, the suppression, and the firefighting. So we've come to the last one, which is firefighting. How do you handle a fire outbreak? Next slide. One, when you see fire, please, the first thing we do is that we raise alarm. You can raise alarm by your mouth, by using your mouth, by just shouting, fire, fire, fire. Or you press the manual call point, the MCP, and it's integrated to the fire alarm panel, and your fire alarm sounder will actually go off. Alarm will be sounded in that building. It should be raised by anybody within the premises where fire is occurring. You break the nearest break glass, which is the manual call point, to activate it. If you are trained to do so, you can use the fire extinguisher. If the fire is suspected to be from electrical components, you switch off the power source. So you turn off the generator. And that's why we tell you that in case of a fire emergency, don't use the elevator. Don't use the lift. All right. You call the fire service. If you're in Lagos, 767-112. That's the number of your fire service. 767 or 112 on your mobile phone or any phone. It will link you to the Lagos State Fire Service. All right. Then ensure that people move out of the building. You do the roll call at the muster point. And if anybody is missing, please, you need to account for such person or persons. Next slide. When there is the sound of the alarm, Go one slide back, please. When there is sound of the alarm, please leave the building immediately. Do not use the elevator, use the staircase. Close all the doors and windows when leaving, if it is safe to do so. We do this because of the fact that I want to limit or reduce the amount of oxygen coming into the building. And again, that tells us that as facility managers, let your air conditioners work. Don't give people excuse or room for excuse in terms of opening of windows and doors, because just because of ventilation, right? Because in case of fire, nobody is going to go back to close those windows or doors. All right. So we said you should close if safe to do so. Again, depending on the size of your business or facility. Do not collect personal property. That means do not start packing your load. That loss of time can make you get trapped within the facility. Assist people to the nearest muster point by showing them, telling them to follow you, or even you going there yourself. Report to the fire assembly point, which is the muster point, and do not re-enter the building until the head of safety or the most senior person in that facility tells you to do so. Next slide. When you want to fight fire, you can use fire extinguisher. Make sure that you are using the right type of the extinguisher. I said 3 types are common in Nigeria, right? But that's APC, that's dry chemical powder. The one that has a gauge is the one that is more suited for or more suitable for outdoor or external firefighting. The CO2 is more suitable for electrical fires and, of course, something within the house. Note that there are 4 methods. Okay, let me keep it at TV, not to complicate this meeting or this training. There are 3 methods for you to extinguish fire. One is starvation. Remove the source of, remove the fuel from the fire. If a settee is on, if a chair is on fire, remove other things that can burn away from where that chair is, and the fire will go off. That's why we don't use rug or something in the office. We say tiles, because fire cannot burn tiles, and you can quickly remove, other chairs or tables away from the burning fire. So we call it starvation. 2, you can do by cooling, by pouring water on the fire to cool the temperature and remove or lower the heat of the fire triangle. And thirdly, it's called smothering, when you use even a fire extinguisher or a fire blanket on the fire. For fire extinguisher now, the chemical components, form on top of the fire. That's for DCP, and does not allow oxygen to go into the fire. So starvation removes the fuel from the fire triangle. Cooling removes or lowers the heat in the fire triangle. And smothering removes the oxygen from the fire triangle. And if this triangle is not complete, fire will stop. So if there are 3 things that come together to form fire, which are oxygen, heat, and fuel, taking any one of them out will lead to effective extinguishment of the fire. So use either cooling, smothering, cooling to take out the heat or lower the heat, smothering to take out the oxygen or lower the oxygen, to remove the oxygen in terms of percentage concentration, or starvation method to reduce the fuel that is burning in the fire. All right, those are very important. This information is very important, so that when you use the fire extinguisher, it will be effective. Remember, you pull the pin, you aim at the base of the fire while holding the fire extinguisher hose. you press or squeeze the lever, so we call it squeezing. Then you sweep from side to side. So it is PASS, the pass method. Next slide, please. The slide has not moved. Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Can hear you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. We've said that the fire fighting equipment also have their limitations. So the best to have, if you ask me, is a combination of these 5 elements of fire safety management. 1, fire prevention, by attending this class and understanding that housekeeping is key to fire safety. Understanding that there is what we call the fire triangle, the fuel, the heat, and the oxygen. Understanding that there are different fire extinguishers for different purposes. Understanding that the electrical cables in your workplace, either by overload, by overloading the electrical sockets, or by joining the cables, or by inappropriate use of even substandard cables or the inappropriate connections can lead to fire. All right. So you understand that fire prevention aspect. You understand the fire protection aspect, especially with the means of escape. People must be able to evacuate from your building in no time and as per time. Then there is fire detections, smoke detectors that you need to install. There is fire suppression, including the FM200, the water sprinkler, automatic water sprinkler, and water view that you need to have within your building. And number 5, fire extinguishers, hydrant line for you to be able to fight the fire. Important to know that these safety signages can also help at least to communicate where people should pass. There is the one that has that running man, tells you that, okay, you need to move fast, not by running towards this point. The one that has like multiple people with 4 arrows, it should be at the muster point. When I go there and I see that, I know that's your muster point. The one that has a running man with an arrow is also an emergency light. So when we turn off the power supply, I told you just a few minutes ago that we need to actually off the power supply if the fire is electrically related. So don't use the elevator, use the staircase, but there will be emergency lights that will lead us to, or that will show us where we need to go. And it's important that we make use of our government agencies. That's the fire service, whether Lagos State or whichever state, or your state, Lagos State, Ogun State, or choose any state. If every state has fire service, make sure that you have their numbers. You know the one that is close to you. All right. Have not just the Lagos State number of 767 or 112. Each of these states first service, outlets or outfits in different locations have their own direct phone numbers that you can actually call. Make sure that fire service is aware and they understand your location. Let them even visit, invite them, let them visit your location. It costs you nothing. Let them visit your location. You can take them around so that at least they are familiar with the facility. Of course, places that are open to public as at that time. So don't work in a bank and take them to your strong room because I said you take them around. No, just take them and let them understand. And please have nominated employees as your fire safety marshal team. I think if I end there, that will be fine. Make sure you have fire safety marshal team, people that have responsibilities towards fire safety. And that will help you, so you must have minimum of 4 groups. There must be the firefighting group, people that will use the fire extinguisher. There must be the head count and muster point group, people that will be at the muster point to take the roll call. There must be the communication group, people that will actually call the fire service on 767 or 112 and they can also assist to direct people to the muster point. And there is what we call the search and rescue team. People that will do what we call the sweeping, going around to ensure that nobody is trapped or nobody is hiding within the building. I said that you should have fire marshal team in your facility that should be grouped into minimum of 4. You should have minimum of 4 groups. 1, firefighting team. 2, search and rescue team. 3, communications team that will also help you to direct people to the muster point. And 4, roll call and muster point team. So please, you must have minimum of 2 or 3 people in each of these team, and they must be having their monthly meetings. Know this, that if you run shifts in your facility, then everybody in different shifts must understand their roles and responsibilities. That means you must have this team across all the shifts you are running. One important unit, the security ones that are there 24 different shifts, fire extinguisher to fight the fire, who to call in terms of communication, how to direct people to the muster point, and how to go around to ensure that nobody is hiding in the toilets or under the table in case of a fire emergency. Do we still have any slide left? There is 7 o'clock on the dot, and I think I've done justice to this class, even beyond the scope. Okay, so these people that you have appointed, I just spoke about now, should help you to carry out fire drills. They should ensure that everybody knows their muster points. They should have what we call the close down procedure. In case there is an incident, they should take charge and give instructions. They should know the primary and escape and secondary escape routes, and they should ensure that they inspect them regularly to ensure that there is no obstruction or blockage like we had in Afriland, at this case, at this point in time in your facility. And so that evacuation of employees are done in time and in full, and ensure that roll calls are taken. I've spoken about this already, about the 4 groups you should have, or 4 responsibilities you should share among all your fire marshal or fire safety team. Remember, they should cut across different groups and different shifts, different departments and different shifts within your organization. All right, next slide. I think that should almost be all. Thank you. That's all. Any question or questions? I've been talking for about 2 hours now, right? So let me hear your voice. Go to the previous slide, please. Previous slide. Okay, that's fine. Hello. Are we saying that we are all clear?
Yes, sir.
I'm with you, sir.
Okay, good evening, sir. Good evening, class. Okay, I want to add this question. In a situation whereby probably in an high-rise building where the fire is already started, probably in the building, like 2 stages, 4-story building, and where the fire started is enclosed, that people don't even know on time that there's fire, and before people could react to it, the smoke has engulfed everywhere, that to even trace where the fire is coming from it's difficult, because everywhere has been, you can't even. So at that moment, how do we take action based on the smoke? I can't even see thick smoke. I can't even tell where the fire is coming from. So how do we take action on that?
So for which is the smoke? I don't know. I don't know who spoke last. I heard you. The smoke detector is supposed to detect the fire, and if you're using an aversible or a conventional system.
Yeah, in the situation whereby the fire detector failed to trigger. That's what I'm saying.
The fire detector failed. The first thing.
We can't hear. We can't hear you at all, sir. I didn't get anything, sir.
Take out electricity supply, and we expect that emergency lights should be on along the route of escape. All right, and people should have access to escape routes and leave the building. Your fire marshal team that comprises of firefighting team will then do the tracing of where the fire is coming from. It's not the job of the employee or visitor or occupant to go and trace where fire is coming from. You should have trained fire marshals that should do that. All right. So the important thing at that point, especially when you've seen the smoke and you don't even know what's happening, is the safety of lives, not properties. Is people to leave the building. Evacuate to the muster point. You shut off or shut down the power supply, and the firefighters and whatever start tracing what can be done. But ensure that nobody is trapped. Ensure that no life is lost. I told you that fire comprises of heat, light, and smoke. And that smoke can actually contain hazardous gases that can kill. You don't even know people's health condition before coming to work. So it's a lot of whole thing. Let your fire safety marshal team be functional and effective. Let them be able to understand how to fight fire, how to communicate to fire, how to call for help. That's communication. And take people out by direction. How to handle the evil call at the muster point, and how to do the search.
Thank you, sir.
Search and rescue. And should not do search and rescue. Your exit is blocked. Even if the smoke detector is working, it's still going to be a problem for people to escape. So let's ensure that our fire safety management, we carry out our fire risk assessment. We go around, we understand our layout, what is obstructing, what should we have. Remember, I said 5 things matter: prevention, protection, detection, suppression, and firefighting. You must have questions or ask questions around these 5 thematic areas. And if you don't know how to do that, I'm here. You can always reach out.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
So talk to Max-Migold, then you get me.
All right.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So there is a call for action. There's a call for action for facility managers, which is around fire risk assessment of their facility. Please, all facility managers must, and I use the word must carry out fire risk assessment of their facility. Please. Very soon, we're going to be having maybe a fire risk assessment specialist course, in Max-Migold, maybe before the end of the month, right? If you are interested, you can just reach out to Miracle, So we're going to reach out, whoever is interested can reach out to Miracle, then Max-Migold will reach out to all of us again, all right? If you don't really know how to carry out a fire risk assessment, it is a skill all fire safety managers must have, all right? Learning from Afilan Toa, all right? It's a whole day course that we need. You can even do practical, all right? You can practicalize what we've learned. So it's a whole day course if you want to, learn how to carry out facility fire safety risk assessment. Please, you can just indicate interest. You can speak to Miracle, and we can talk about that, either end of this month or early November. Okay, and it's going to be physical. So for some of us that's like maybe we can consider hybrid, but I think physically it's going to make more sense. But if you are not, if for authentic reasons you are not, available physically, we might just consider your application and also then enroll you in that class. All right. But please, I've said a lot of things here. We need to put them into use. All right. Thank you. Any more question? I need to go. Okay. If there are no more questions, Miracle, can you help us close the class?
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you all for joining today's
Thank you very
lecture.
much, sir.
Yeah, see you on Wednesday.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Grateful. Gracias.